Guys, all the cars that you see in these videos are for sale on my website, www.woodsandbarclay.com. Enjoy the video. Hello everyone, welcome back to the series on the 1979 300 SD, the Panther. And today we're going to knock out three items. We're going to do the cruise control module, the upper control arms, and the transmission kickdown rod. We're going to change the bushing on the back of that. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay guys, you can see I have the floor mat out and I've removed the lower trim or the lower kick panel on the driver's side. Let's see if I can get the camera in here. Right up there. See that silver box on the top? That is our cruise control module. So it's kind of tough to record getting that out. Let's see if we can get another angle up here. There it is, right there. That's where the plug is. So I have to get in there and finagle that thing out, and we're going to have it rebuilt and put in a fresh rebuilt module. Okay, I got the 10mm bolt loose, and it was up in there like that. So I just slid it straight down. Okay, rather than removing the mounting plate, I'm just going to leave the mounting plate in there. Take off my screw there and right there, and then we can just pull the module straight off. Okay guys, here's our cruise control module. And let's see if I can get a part number. There we go. It's hard to see in the camera. 001-545-2132. So I'm going to go ahead and send this off to be rebuilt. You can see this one has never been opened up. The little crimps are still in place there. So that'll take a couple of weeks. I'll send that off. In the meantime, let's go ahead and start on the transmission kickdown rod bushing. Now, this is a very little bushing. Let me open it up and show it to you. There we go. That's a very small bushing, but let me show you guys what it does. Okay, right here on the valve cover, see the 116s are way simpler than the 123s. Those have very complex vacuum systems for the transmission shifting. The reason the 116 shift so much better, and they do shift a lot better than 123s or 126s, is because there is a rod right there. No vacuum. There's a rod that connects directly to the transmission and pulls that rod when you hit the throttle and accelerate. Now at the end of that rod, there's a bushing. And look at this, guys. See how loose that is? That's because the bushing has rotted out, and there's just a cotter pin holding the rod in there. And when you crank the car, you'll hear that. It'll be rattling around. You'll be like, what's rattling under my hood? So let me get the car up in the air and I'll show you what that is. So first thing we want to do is just remove this small E-clip right there. We just pull that off. I'll set that guy right there. And this just slips off our throttle linkage. All right, that's now loose, right? Now let's get under the car, undo that clip, and pull this rod out and replace the bushing. I'm under the car, and here's our kickdown lever on the passenger side of the transmission. This is hard to see for you guys, I know, but see right there, there's the end of our rod. There's where that bushing rots out. You can see there is no bushing there. It's just, there you go. It's just held on there with the cotter pin. I know that's hard to see, but let me take it out and I'll show you. All right, I'm right here on the side of the transmission, and you can see I'm actually removing the 10mm bolt right here. This is such a tight fit, but that will allow us to take this linkage arm off of here and then get access to the cotter pin and the bushing up top. Okay, there we go. Let's see if I can get my hand in here. We're just pulling it down. There we go. All right, let's get this over here on the bench and let me show you guys. All right, there is, sorry, my bench is a little messy. I got parts everywhere. Okay, there you go. Remember that was attached to the top of the engine. And here we go, guys. See how that bushing is no longer there, and that just flops around, and it was held in with just that little cotter pin and washer. Now, that would still work, but it would cause a little sloppiness, and the shift points wouldn't be exactly correct, and you get a lot of rattling under the hood. So let's go ahead and replace this. And notice the orientation. how the rod comes down, it angles away from me and then angles back towards me right here. So we want to make sure we put it back together that way. And let's see. There we go. Okay, so that's how it goes together. Here is our bushing, and it actually presses in this direction. So let me heat this up just a little bit in the microwave, and then we're going to push this guy right in here. All right, you can see we got our replacement bushing installed in there. Let's go ahead and get it reattached. Okay, here's our little baby cotter pin, and I've got the bushing through and the shift rod through there. And let's put our little baby cotter pin in here, and it came through that way. All right. There we go. And there you go, guys. Moves perfect. No more jiggling around there. Brand new bushing. Let's get this installed back on the car. Okay, guys, if you remember, we took the rod out by coming out the bottom, but it's easier to install it back in here by just straightening that out and coming back down from the side here. And there we go. Okay, guys, that's about the best shot I can get. You see we have the arm reattached to the transmission. And let's see. There we go. There's, well, you guys aren't going to be able to see. Up there, there's our new bushing attached to the arm. So let's lower the car back down, attach our E-clip back to the top, and I'll show you how it's no longer jiggling around. Okay, here's our little E-clip. Now, before I put this back on here, I'm just going to wipe it off a little bit. We're going to put a couple of drops of transmission fluid as a lubrication. And we'll just slip that guy back on there. And we'll put our E-clip back on. Now, I can see these have already been lubricated, obviously when that was being serviced. But now you can see this doesn't jiggle, and we have a smooth engagement with the throttle, and there's no slop in this linkage now. Just little stuff like that, guys, that's important on these cars. Okay, the next thing I want to tackle on this car is the upper control arms. If you look closely there, see how that bushing has kind of started to pop out and that started to twist a little bit? That's not supposed to be like that. Now, the rest of the suspension down here on the car is in fantastic condition. All of the boots, the bushings, it's excellent. There's no need to change any of that. Also, these are the original brakes. Now, they're still working, but I mean, that's 45 years old. And with old brakes like this, there's really no telling when they're actually going to start leaking, the seals inside here. You just don't know when they're going to start leaking. So I'm going to go ahead, change the brake hoses, put on some brand new brakes, some brand new rotors, and we're also going to install some new bearings and seals because I don't know, the grease history of these bearings, and they're 45 years old. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Okay, guys, I want to go ahead and remove the brakes, but so we can get access to the rotor and the hub and the bearings. And we're also going to start on the upper control arms. I'm going to remove those. Now, guys, what you see on here, we've already cleaned and detailed, but what you see is that's that old Cosmoline spray. They would spray that all up in here, and that stuff would turn colors over time. So we're not scraping all of that wax off. That's the protective wax coating that you see on a lot of these cars. So that is not actually, dirty from not cleaning. I just want to explain that. That's that Cosmoline wax. You see it all up in here, and it's all coated down on here. you can see where we did clean and there was no wax, you know, it comes back to the original paint. You can see where they sprayed it all back up in here. So anyway, that's what that is. Don't let that, you know, shock you or anything. Anyway, so let's go ahead and we want to remove the brakes and everything, get access, take off this spindle here. We'll remove this top nut and get our control arms out of there. Now, what you can also see here, these boots, like on the original tie rods, are just incredible condition. I mean, there's no ripping, no tearing. The tie rods are still stiff. I can't even turn them. They're such good condition. And look at here, these bushings are immaculate. Guys, that is phenomenal condition. Look at that. Even the ball joints under here. I mean, maybe they've all been changed. I don't know, but this is just incredible. So now I am going to get, you know, some black paint, and I'll refinish some of this suspension. You know, the original paint has started to, suspension paint has come off. You can see there's already new shocks. But I'll go ahead and refinish this and pretty it up just a little bit. But just wanted to show you all these bushings. Now, like the only one I'm not happy with is what I showed you up here. There you go. I showed you on the driver's side. On the passenger side, see where that bushing is starting to separate right there? And that control arm is starting to twist a little. It's not supposed to do that. So over here on the bench, I use Limforder. That is an OE supplier. And let me pull one of these out of here. Okay, there you go. See how the bushings are pushed in and nice and tight? So we're going to put these replacement upper control arms on now. Okay, the 116s are a little different than 123s and 126s, excuse me, because you can see I've got the brake caliper off, but the hose actually runs up through this bracket right here. So I actually, on these cars, you have to actually remove the grease cap, the hub, and the rotor, and then right there on the back of the dust shield, there's a little 10mm bolt. And then you can detach that bracket, and that'll allow me to hang everything over here to the side and kind of get it out of the way. So we're replacing the bearings, rotors, brakes, pads, wear sensors, all that stuff. So let's go ahead and pop off the grease cap. Tap this off with our screwdriver. Move it around. Sorry, it's rubbing against the caliper that I disconnected. That's what that grinding sound was. Here, I'll hold it out of the way. There we go. All right, there we go. All right, let's take a look in here. That does look like some old grease, and I suspected that, you know. It's still greased up though, but I still just want to change the bearings and seals. Let me clean that off and show you guys. There we go. There's our spindle nut. We'll go ahead and take that off with a 5mm, and then we can get access to remove the rotor and get access to the bearings. And this is just like the 123s and 126s. There you go. A little Allen that holds that spindle nut, kind of like a lock nut. And then once that's loose, we can undo this. And since the brake's off, we can now pull off this rotor and hub. Set that aside. And there we go. There's our dust shield. But right there, that's what we want to get access to. It's a little 10mm, and then we can take off the attachment bracket that holds our brake hose to this dust shield here. All right, let's just go ahead and inspect our spindle here. I mean, yeah, perfect condition. Looks great on here. All right, let's get our 10mm, get this guy off of here. All right, there we go. Now, hopefully the camera's recording this, but now you can see this bracket is now loose, and we can get our brakes out of the way. Okay, there we go. There was our mounting bracket right here, and we just took the bolt out right there. It was going right through here. Now we can just hang the brake here out of the way. Now it's okay that I'm hanging it because I'm replacing the brake hoses. All of the brake system are getting replaced because that's 45 years old. But now I have clear access. I'm going to go ahead and take off the dust shield, and then we'll just have really clean access to the steering knuckle here, and we can start on the upper control arms. Okay, let's go ahead and get this off of here. And I'm kind of a stickler for my suspension, so I'm going to clean all this up. See all the brake dust that's on there, and go ahead and refinish it back to the semi-gloss black. Okay, that's what we want to get access to. Okay, there we go. So now I can clean this up, refinish it. We can put on our new rotors and brakes and hoses and bearings. I'm going to do the same to the other side, and I want to go ahead and refinish some of these suspension parts. But now we can lower the car, and you see I have a jack stand here. We're going to lower it onto the jack stand and undo our top nut right here, and then use a separator to get this loose, and then go on the inside of the car and remove the bolt, and we can get that upper control arm out of there. Okay, we have it lowered onto jack stands, and this is a 17 millimeter. We'll pop that off, break that loose, and then we'll take off our sway bar bolt here. And then on the 116, it's a little different than the 123. This is like it's almost like a lock nut. You got to loosen that up a little bit in order to, you got to loosen this up a little bit before you can unscrew this bolt here that's attached to the sway bar. There's like a bracket. There we go. There's a bracket right there that the bolt goes into, and it's like held in place by this bolt here. Okay, and we've got our Allen on there. See if I can just break that loose. There we go. We're just going to loosen it up a little bit. There we go. Now that's loose enough where we can now remove this bolt. Okay, and now we got this little loose, that a little loose. Now we're going to go ahead and break loose our nut on the control arm. And again, don't let all the little black stuff in here alarm you. It's just dirty Cosmoline wax that was originally sprayed on the car. All right, let me get my electric wrench. All right, now the jack stand is there so we don't run the risk of this all coming loose and that spring popping out. That's important. And here is my ball joint separator. We'll just slide that right in there, and I'll put a little spacer in here just as a little helper. There we go. All right, there we go. That's now loose. So we can raise the car a little bit and get this control arm out of here. Now first I want to go inside the engine compartment and loosen the bolt on the control arm. Okay guys, so that bolt for the control arm, you can see it right there. It's underneath the air filter housing. So we need to go ahead and remove the air filter housing, and that's going to be part of our service anyway. Make sure the bushings are under here are good, and then replace the filter. But let's go ahead and get that removed from the car. Now I noticed previous owners put a hose clamp right here. That's actually not required because it fits on there just by a friction fit. There's absolutely no reason to use a hose clamp here. So we're going to take this hose clamp off and not put it back on the car because it's not supposed to be there. There we go. And see the way this fits, you just twist it a little bit and you pull it out like that. And it's a friction fit. There's absolutely no reason for that hose clamp. That's your accordion tube. All right, now I need to undo right down here. You can't see it. Well, let me show you. God, look how clean that engine is. Okay, right. See if you guys can see it. It's right there. that is a hose clamp, well, a clamp around the intake for the turbo. We need to loosen that so we can slide this whole unit forward and off the turbo. All right, let's go ahead and undo our clips. It looks like they actually have a brand new air filter on there. Yeah, that is a brand new air filter. They were definitely servicing this vehicle. There we go. That is a brand new Hanks filter. That thing is perfectly clean, so we don't need to install a new filter. All right, now I'm just going to go ahead and remove the 3 10mm right here, and that detaches it from the mounting bracket. And I can already tell they've already replaced the bushings under there because that is rock solid. So this car was being immaculately cared for. It's pretty obvious. But we need to remove this stuff anyway so we can get access to our control arm bolt. All right, we got those 4 off. Now I'm going to loosen our clamp right down here. Now we do have this tube on the 79, so we're going to have to undo it here and bring all that with us. All right, I think we're almost loose enough down here. Okay, there we go. Now I'm just going to loosen this tube from the actual vacuum pump right down here, and we'll pull this whole assembly off. There we go. This tube that attaches into our air filter housing, you take it off the vacuum pump with I think it's a 19mm. Yeah. So let's get this thing off of here. There we go. Okay, now that can all kind of come out together. Okay, let's see if I can do this on camera here. All right, I just undid this tube from the breather, and we're going to lift this up, and we'll jiggle this forward. There we go. Perfect. And we'll take this hose out. There we go. We'll take all of it out together. And there we go. I've just got all that set aside there. Guys, look how clean it is under here. Look how clean the turbo and the intake is. That's crazy. Yeah, just as I suspected, they have brand new bushings underneath here. Oop, that one's a little loose. There we go. We could replace that one. Yep, there we go. These bushings they're made to fail, guys. And the reason is, if you didn't have these bushings and it was solidly mounted to your bracket, well, the vibration would eventually crack your intake. So the engineers designed these little bushings to go right here, and you have to change them out every once in a while because there you go, they'll kind of come apart like that. So we're going to go ahead and replace that one. I mean, they're obviously new. Looks like that one just had premature failure. So we'll pop that out. But now we have plenty of room to get access to our bolt. Here's one side of it here and right there, and we can get our upper control arm out. And I have a stash of bushings over there on the shelf, so we'll just go ahead and screw our new one in here. It's really that easy. You unscrew them and then just screw them back in. And you tighten them down. And there we go. Now they'll all be good again. All right, let's start on the upper control arm. And just something I noticed, you guys probably already noticed this. They have installed a brand new windshield wiper fluid reservoir. Look at that. There's even a brand new hose on there. That's pretty awesome. Okay, this upper control arm is a 19mm. We'll get one on that side there. And right here, I've already loosened it up. There we go. All right, there we go. We can take that nut off. And we'll set this aside. And we should be able to push our bolt through now. Let's see how loose that is. Oh, yeah, good. There we go. We can just kind of pull it straight through there. Boom. And the reason we pulled it out so easy, there's no stress on it because I already broke it loose from the steering knuckle. So it was just kind of lightly sitting in there. Look at the condition of this original bolt, guys. That's 45 years old. Pretty awesome. Okay, guys, what I've done, I've lowered the car on this side onto this jack. And what that's done, it's caused our sway bar to kick up, you know, about that much. And by doing that, it kicked the sway bar up on this side, and it allowed us to get the spindle loose because the sway bar is now pushed up in the air and away from the spindle. You can see we're already loose up in here. So now we just need to take our bolt out and we can take out this control arm. Now also what you're going to notice is that spring is being held in by the shock. Now guys, you can do this as long as your shock, see, is brand new. Those bolts are excellent condition. And you can see everything's tightened down up here. It's in excellent condition. And that shock can, with no problem, hold the spring in. But you always want to check the condition of your shock before you try this. Because see, the steering knuckle is no longer attached up here. And that's what normally holds that spring together. So you can do it this way. Just make sure your shock is in excellent condition. Okay, there we go. See, we just removed the bolt from there. There's the hole that attaches it to the sway bar. And now I can pull this guy out of here. So let's get it on the bench and I'll show you what we're working with here. Okay, here is our passenger side upper control arm. Now you can see the way these cups install here, it's concave on that side. So you put it back on like that and you see their bolt comes out. Let's see if I can get our bolt through. Come on. There we go. And our bolt is also concave here, and that goes up against the bushing. And here is our control arm. And right there, that is why, see how that's deformed? There you go. That's why we're changing these. That is supposed to be all the way flush in there. So let me get the other control arm. All right, there is our beautiful new control arm. That's what we want to put back in. Now, these new control arms do come with new bushings that go in here. However, 90% of the time, I choose to reuse the original bushing because you can see it's a slightly different shape and it's already worn in to the shape of the control arm. There we go. Stick it in like that. There you go. And these install way easier. Sometimes it's extremely difficult to get these in, and they're not quite the same shape that they were in 1979, I guess. And you can see these are in spectacular condition. I mean, got a little anti-seize or something right there I can wipe off. But there's no splitting, no cracking, no nothing. There's absolutely no reason to change those. They're not a high stress item. So I'm going to put those back in rather than using these new ones. You can see the new ones are like slightly different shape. So let's go ahead and get this reinstalled back in the car. Now before I reinstall the sway bar bolt, I like to use a little brass brush and just clean it up a little bit. Make sure there's no grime in there. And I just put a little bit of anti-seize on there. And that just keeps it from ever seizing and helps it to go in very smoothly. And it doesn't take much anti-seize, guys. You just brush a little bit on there. Just like that. And that's plenty. All right, let's go get our new control arm in here. There we go. And I'm going to go ahead and get this bolt started before I put the bolt up for the control arm in, because this is the hard one to get started. Oh, there we go. I think I got it. There we go. Actually, I said it was hard, but that one went in really easy. Now remember, once we torque that down, we have to retighten this lock nut here. All right, so we're going to get that just in by hand, right? Just so it's loosely in there. Now I'm going to go put the bolt through here, the upper bolt, before we tighten everything down. There we go. It's about to come through the hole there. Okay, there. Got a little bit of it sticking through. Let me go ahead and finish tapping that through, and then we'll put our lock nut back on there. All right, we'll put our lock nut back on there. And let's tighten this back up. Now, we don't want to crank it down until we have some weight on the suspension, because you don't want to tighten your suspension bolts until you have load on the vehicle. Otherwise, you can cause your bushings to bind. So we're just going to snug it up here. All right, that's just snug enough to hold it in place. We'll tighten it in a minute. There we go. Perfect. All right, let me go ahead and tighten that down. Then we're going to take the load off the other side of the car, so this nut will go down through here. All right, there we go. Now let's tighten down our lock nut. There we go. That's now locked in place and can't come out. All right. Okay, guys, there's our nice new control arm with our nice new bushings up in there. Very nice. And guys, this step really isn't that necessary. I just like to clean all my suspension up with acetone and then respray it, the factory semi-gloss, just because I'm kind of a stickler about how my suspension looks. So we'll go ahead and just start cleaning all this up in here, and then we'll let that dry and then respray this area. Okay, guys, this is the stuff I use. It's acrylic enamel. Rust-Oleum makes it. There's several different companies that make acrylic enamel, and it's just a semi-gloss black, and this stuff works great on suspension. I've just covered up my spindle, and I've taped over my shock. I don't want to get it on my shock. And we'll just do a couple of coats and let it dry, and it'll just look nice again, like it came from the factory. Again, not really necessary, but I just like to do this on all my suspension. So let me knock this out, and then we'll come back in a minute. All right, I'm finished with refinishing the suspension in the semi-gloss black. Doesn't that look much better? All the control arms, the spring, the steering knuckle, all the components back here. I'm just kind of picky about that. I think it looks way nicer. And of course, there's our new upper control arm. Also refinished the sway bar arm there. Just looks way nicer like that. All right, let's go knock out the other side. All right, here we are over on the driver's side. I've refinished all the suspension, and the nice semi-gloss black looks way nicer. And of course, we have our new control arm with new bushings installed back up here. Refinished the sway bar link here. I'm sorry, the sway bar, not the link. There we go. You can see I've refinished back in here, and it looks really nice. Okay, it's the next day, and I got a shipment of a lot of cruise control modules in. There are several of the ones that I'm sending back as cores, but here's the module we took out of the 300 SD 001-545-2132, and here's the remanufactured module. You can see it was remanufactured or rebuilt on January of 2024, and same part number 001-545-2132. So let's go ahead and get this in the car, and we'll send that back as the core. All right, guys, I can't even begin to record reinstalling a cruise control module on a 116. But you can see we have the new module up in there. It runs up in there. And there's the little relay right there that has to clip onto the same bracket. But you can see it is now installed back on the car. And doing that, you have to like lay on your back under the, lay on your back in the floorboard to get that bolt up in there. But mission accomplished. Let's go ahead and reassemble the under dash kick panel. Okay, after 20 minutes of finagling, I've got all the bolts. There's one there, and let's see, there's one right back here that I had to take off, and one there. I've got those all reinstalled and everything back. Now, what's important, you see right here, there's a little tab, a little clip built into the firewall. You have to put this shield, this part right here, this like plastic piece, has to clip behind that, or your accelerator pedal, when you press it down, it'll hang, it'll get caught right there on the edge and it won't release. So we see we have full actuation, so that's perfect. All right, now we need to get the carpeted piece back on, and that literally screws into, let's see, right here. There's this little plastic hole here, here, and there. And then you have these clips up here. It'll clip over here and clip over here. And then you have a screw over here. So let's go ahead, get that reinstalled. Okay, so you saw the little plastic clips that were here and here. You can take two little like flathead screwdrivers and delicately pry them out of the dash. Here we go, here's one right here. And see, they kind of squish, and it's a press fit. It just kind of squishes in to go back in there, but you take them out and then you place them in these little plastic retaining brackets like that. Then over here, you have a little metal one, and then you can push those back into the dash and then reattach your one screw right there. And what those do, they hold the carpet firm to the dash in these two areas. Okay, we can see the carpet is pressed in firm and snug right here. See, those clips keep it from peeling back. See, I can't pull back on the carpet. There you go. Then right over here. All right, we got one more. Let's see. There we go. Just push that one in right there. And now we put our retaining screw in. All right, there we go, guys. Every bolt and clip and nut is exactly how it would have come from the factory. Guys, that's very difficult on a 116. Their build quality is way better than 123s, but they're not as easy to take apart and put back together. So anyway, we are done with the cruise control module. All right, we are done with this video. And guys, the way I did that under the dash with the cruise control module, you know, most shops you take these cars to, they'll just mangle all that under dash paneling. You have to pay attention, and you don't want to pry on things, and you want to put the screws back where they're supposed to go, and it can be taken apart and put back together. It's very cramped and tight quarters, but you can do it. And I did it correct on this car, so it's back to how exactly what it was like when it left the factory, but with a brand new cruise control module. So I hope you enjoyed this video. We got a lot of good stuff coming in the next video. I'm going to redo the brakes, the wheel bearings, the seals, the rotors, refinish the hubs. So stay tuned and you'll see all that next. See you next time. Take care.